The NFL's worst fear about the Baltimore Ravens is coming true. And with the move of the Baltimore Ravens signing defensive back Chidobe Awuzie, now this gives the Ravens an opportunity to go into the 2025 draft and kind of pick and choose which needs that they have to address going forward. They do not have to go into the first round, maybe not even the second round now, and go for a cornerback, allowing them to pick and choose which other positions of need that they can go in. This allows them to go in many different directions to improve a Baltimore Ravens team that almost made it to the AFC Championship game for a second year in a row. If Awuzie can come in and stay healthy, he can come in and take over for Brandon Stephens, who had an outstanding 2023 season, but in 2024 fell off. We don't know where the struggles came from. It's just for some reason he could not catch a break. He didn't get an interception. He just let guys just catch passes all over the field. Quarterbacks completed, I think, the third most yards in the league versus Brandon Stephens and Awuzie, who is talented if he can stay healthy. And that is a big if. Allows the Ravens to do a lot of things defensively. Now, he comes from a Tennessee Titans team that signed him last year to a 3-year, $36 million deal. Now, they cut him after one season because of injuries. And this is the thing that kind of gives me a little bit of trepidation with this is, yes, he is a decent cornerback. He played 3 seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals, so he's familiar with the AFC North, and he did a pretty good job. But the thing is, can he stay healthy? In 2023, he tore his ACL. So while the Ravens can kind of divert their attention from quarterback, they cannot stray away from it altogether, because right now with him, he makes the 5th cornerback on this roster. And with health concerns, don't know if we can depend on him for a full season. So the Ravens are going to have to go into the draft, and they're going to have to get somebody else, but it doesn't have to be a priority. Now, Awuzie, a 2nd-round pick from the Dallas Cowboys in 2017, brings a wealth of experience. He does get interceptions, unlike Brandon Stephens, and he is pretty solid in coverage. He also continues that Tennessee Titans pipeline to Baltimore, with the likes of Derek Mason, Steve McNair, Samari Rolle, Derrick Henry. For some reason, players that play for the Tennessee Titans love to go and end their careers with the Baltimore Ravens. So hopefully he has as much success as the players that came before him to Baltimore. And he does come from a Tennessee Titans team that was #1 defensively in the NFL. Even though they didn't get a lot of help from their offense, somehow, some way, they still shut things down. And the biggest proponent of this was defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. Yes, that Denard Wilson, who was the defensive backs coach for the Baltimore Ravens in 2023. A Baltimore Ravens defense that ranked #1 across the board in most statistical categories. Then he goes over to Tennessee, and they have a dominating defense. Now, this could be one of the reasons that the Baltimore Ravens struggled so much on defense this year. It wasn't just a Mike McDonald thing. It was a Denard Wilson thing. He may have been the key and singular most important guy on the Baltimore Ravens defensive coaching staff. So we snatch up Awuzie, we bring him to the team, and then that allows the Ravens to look elsewhere when we get into the first round and the second round of the NFL draft. And now we have to find out which position of need the Ravens are going to address. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of guessing. We really don't know, because the Ravens are tight-lipped in the things that they like to do. Even this move was a surprise to a lot of people. Not many people saw this move coming, but it does help. It does shore up a need that the Ravens have, because, like I said, we only had 4 defensive backs on the team before this signing. And of course, we're going to go into the draft, and we're going to get even more cornerbacks, but it allows us to take our time, pace ourselves, and get guys that are going to come in and help this team immediately. And if the Ravens really and truly do want to go safety, Malachi Starks, Nick Eamon-Warry, if they are around at 27, that gives the Ravens an opportunity to get them. If they want to go edge, they can get James Peace Jr. Yes, he only had 7.5 sacks last season, but he was 2nd in college football, well, major college football, with a 19% pressure rate. And it's traits like that to say, you know what, this can translate to the next level. This is a guy who can come in and make an impact. No longer should the Ravens go out there and try to draft projects and guys that have a lot of upside, guys that they feel may come into their own or have certain traits that may translate later on. We need someone that can come in and contribute right now. We need a guy that possibly can take the Nate Wiggins path. If he cannot start the season, can come in and slowly gain experience and get more and more as the season goes on. So when the playoffs come around, they can contribute to this team and help us get to where we ultimately want the Baltimore Ravens to go. So the signing of Awuzie helps the team out right now directly, and it may even help them out in the latter parts of the season, because the Ravens are on a mission to do something we haven't done since 2012, and that's win a Super Bowl. Now, the Ravens can actually go in and win a third straight AFC North title. No team in the history of the AFC North has ever won 3 straight titles, and the Baltimore Ravens can do this. It's just how they go about the offseason, how they construct this team going forward, because the Ravens have a brutal schedule coming up. But as far as the AFC North is concerned, competition ain't what it used to be. Of course, you have the Cleveland Browns, who are always out here browning. Don't really have to worry too much about them. Then you have the Cincinnati Bengals, who locked up all of their stars. Offensively, they are a juggernaut. But defensively, they were not great last season, and they got even worse. They let some guys go. Don't know what they're going to do with Trey Hendrickson, but right now, don't really know if they have the money to fix that defense. So if they can't outscore opponents, it's going to be a long season for them. Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, they drafted well over the last couple of years. They added a DK Metcalf, but as of right now, they don't have a quarterback, which is the singular most important position on the field. They just lost out on Russell Wilson. Aaron Rodgers is playing games. There's really slim pickings. So the Ravens have an opportunity to take this division for the third time, possibly get one of the top 3 seeds in the AFC, and go on to the Super Bowl. But it starts with the second wave of free agency, the little moves here and there, so that they can add depth. They may not provide starters, so to speak, but they can provide some guys that can come in and rotate and do some things. We saw the Philadelphia Eagles. They truly didn't really have stars on defense. They had some key pieces. They had some guys that are dogs, but they did have rotation, which kept guys fresher throughout the season. So when the postseason came, they were able to just let it all loose because they were relatively healthy, being that they had guys coming in and coming out. So the Ravens can provide depth in free agency, then go into the draft, add more depth, and probably get a starter here and there. And this Awuzie signing allows them the freedom to address other needs. And for me, of course, I'm always going to say address the offense. You have to address the offense. Your most important piece on this team is offense. Kyle Hamilton goes down, we can survive. Roquan Smith goes down, we will get by. Lamar Jackson goes down, it's a wrap. You may like Cooper Rush, you may like who they find in the Walmart DVD bin, doesn't matter. If Lamar Jackson goes down, season's a wrap. So for me, go into the draft, get yourself a guard in the first round. Second and third round, couldn't care less what you do after that, but get some protection for Lamar. And I'm not telling them to ignore defense. I understand. I've been a Ravens fan since the inception of this team, and I understand defense is what we hang our hats on. Defense is how we built this organization to the way that it is now. But after 7 consecutive seasons of doing the same thing, it is time for a change. And I'm going to beat a dead horse until we make a change, until we do something differently. For the last 7 years, we've heavily invested in defense. And what did that bring us? That brought us the 27th pass defense in the league last year. It brought us a team defensively that struggled throughout the first portion of the season. It brought us a team that defensively just does not create turnovers in the playoffs. And I don't want them to ignore it. I don't want them to say, you know what, all offense, no defense, and that's how we're doing it. But it's time to prioritize positions that actually matter. Yes, we need an edge, but we have 5 edge guys on the team right now. Let them play, let them develop just like you do offensively. And then after you show up this offensive line, bring in competition. Nobody says that any position is a lock, but bring in competition so the best 5 guys can go out on the field and protect Lamar Jackson. They can open holes for Derrick Henry. Then you address the defense. Then you go after an edge. You go after a linebacker to play beside Roquan. You get your third beloved safety that's supposedly supposed to make all the difference in this team. Not protecting Lamar, not stopping teams from strip sacking Lamar in the playoffs. Let's get that third safety that's going to make a world of a difference and lead us to a championship. And I'm not saying that they won't have an impact, but we have a safety. We have our Darius Washington. You get somebody in the later rounds to complement them, I'm cool with it. But spending a first round pick on a cornerback, on another defensive back, year in and year out is insane to me, because we do this every year. How many years are we going to keep investing in cornerbacks and safeties and then have to rinse and repeat the very next season? So this move just opens up a ton of possibilities for the Ravens. I'm excited to see where they go for the rest of this offseason. I'm excited to see what other free agent pickups they have, what guys they have in mind. Hopefully it's somebody like a Dalton Risner or Will Hernandez. Hopefully they bring in somebody. Me personally, I ain't gonna hold you. It's not a need. It's just a personal preference. I wouldn't mind if the Ravens went out there and got Nick Chubb to back up Derrick Henry so we didn't overutilize him during the regular season and we can unleash the both of them during the postseason and actually run the ball. That's just a personal favorite of mine. I'm not saying the Ravens would do it, should do it, but I wouldn't mind having Nick Chubb backing up Derrick Henry. That would be another high reward, low risk signing. Not going to be a bunch of money. Good character guy. And I think he still has some tread left in the tires. And with that said, if the Ravens focus more on bringing in some guys, some competition through free agency, then you do whatever during the draft. Don't care. But as it stands right now, we know that they're going defense first round, maybe even second round. I see all the mock drafts. I've seen some people do first 5 rounds defense. I've seen defensive tackle, then a safety, then a corner, then the defensive tackle, then another defensive tackle, then a linebacker, and then maybe a guard. Just ludicrous to me. How long are you going to continue to constantly keep adding to a defense that has, I'm not going to say no impact on the playoffs because they have been holding it down. They have held teams under season averages for the most part throughout Lamar Jackson's tenure, but they're not making the impact plays to turn the game around. They're not doing things to swing the momentum so that Lamar Jackson and the team can get going. Let's get Lamar protected. Let's open up these holes. Let's get the 5 most rugged guys we can, put them on that line, and let them go hunt. And if you want to add to the defensive line, do that as well, because the trenches is where you're supposed to start your team. And it's amazing how we want to focus on the defensive trenches, but the offensive trenches is like, you know what? They'll work it out. They'll get it together somehow. I like what I saw from a couple of guys last year, and they may get better or they may not. We'll see. Let's wait and see. But when I say let's do that defensively, when I say let's wait and see what these young pass rushers are going to do or what these young cornerbacks are going to do, it's like, no, we don't have time for that. We need somebody that's going to contribute now defensively. So all I'm saying is, are you guys not tired? Are you not just weighed down about seeing the same exact game played in the playoffs? Different teams, same exact scenarios. Offense sputters, defense gives up some untimely plays. We go home sad and rinse and repeat each and every year. But I see the Ravens making some different moves. I see them doing things a little bit differently this offseason. So hopefully when it comes to the draft, we're going to see some different changes. Because this is the year I believe we are going to win the Super Bowl. And I said it last year. I know. I said it last year. I said I truly believe, especially after seeing what Lamar did early in the season, I'm like, yeah, this is our year. We are so close. So close. And we just need the Ravens to just put that finishing touch on his roster and bring in guys in key positions that play football. Not can potentially play football, but can play football. And that's all that I'm asking.